How's it going, game passionate people? Thanks for clicking on another one of our videos, and if you didn't gather from the thumbnail or the title of the video, we're playing Orcs Must Die 3, specifically level 3, the side entrance, and I'm playing it on the highest difficulty, which is Rift Lord, trying to get the best rating, which is 5 skulls. Here we go! So as we were saying, it's level 3, so it's still pretty early on in the game, and it's still pretty forgiving. By that I mean there are only 2 points of entry for the orcs to bust through, and both of those points of entry naturally converge into a bottleneck, which is that hallway that you just saw me laying some traps in. I actually squeezed the bottleneck to be even smaller with those barricades, and we'll get to that once we get back down there. One of the points that I wanted to make about Rift Lord difficulty is that oftentimes, for me at least, I feel like the first wave can be one of the most challenging of all of them. And that's because you have really limited resources to set up your traps and get your kill box prepared. So what that means is basically your war mage is going to need to do a lot of heavy lifting to keep the orcs either stuck in that small trap box that you've been able to build, or just thin out the herd quite a bit before they can even get there, which is what I'm trying to do here. You may have heard me mention before, my favorite weapon combination has got to be the stone staff and the crossbow, each with their own unique upgrades. The stone staff has an area of effect flash, and you can use a unique upgrade that extends the range of that flash. It stops everybody in their tracks, as you can see right there, for a couple seconds, which can be all the difference in the world in some of these maps. And the crossbow, of course, because it just shoots a ton of arrows, rapid fire, fully automatic, with the unique upgrade that if you kill somebody with a headshot, they will explode and damage anybody close to them, which is invaluable when you've got them all bunched up like this. Alright, we survived the first wave, so that means I've got more money to spend on more traps, making my kill box more effective, and like I said, that first wave is usually the roughest because you're the most ill-equipped to deal with the amount of enemies thrown at you. Now I'm able to set up a few more tar traps, a few more barricades, and really force them into a bottleneck within a bottleneck. Now would probably be a good time to talk about the traps that are being used in this level, and they are the swinging mace, the tar trap, and the grinder. The barricade is technically a trap as well, but I often don't think of it as one since it doesn't do any physical damage, or any damage at all for that matter, to the enemy orcs. The swinging mace, however, does a ton of damage and is one of my favorite traps, although I don't get to use it very often because of its layout restrictions. As you can see, it's a ceiling trap and it takes up a lot of room. I'm only able to put 2 of them in this long hallway. I could do more if I was making them do switchbacks, but I thought just a long gauntlet would be the way to go for this particular level. So there's 2 swinging maces up there. I have the unique upgrade on those that makes them swing faster. There's also a unique upgrade that makes them do fire damage, but swinging faster always seemed like a more effective use of that trap to me, so that's what I almost always use. Now that the swinging maces are set up, the best thing to reinforce them is something like a tar trap or maybe like a freeze trap that would keep the enemies stuck in the area that those things are swinging. I've got the tar trap going on this particular board, and I'm using the unique upgrade that enemies remain slowed for a brief period of time. The Gnoll Hunters are an interesting enemy type. If you've heard me talk in the other videos, you'll know that they are basically war mage assassins. They're not bothered by the traps, they're not bothered about the rift, they just run out as soon as they're on the board and go straight to your war mage to try to take them out. They're not overly strong, you can kill them with a number of well-placed headshots, but they're very fast, so you gotta be aware of them. One nice thing about them is that they give like a howl when they get on the board, so there is an audio cue to know that you've got some coming your way. There is kind of a fancy tip or trick that I could recommend if you're getting really overwhelmed by the Gnoll Hunters in particular. If you stand behind the rift and they run into it, they don't count against your rift points. So if you were to be charged by 6 Gnoll Hunters and you stood and put the rift between you and them, they would get sucked up into the rift to try to kill you, but it wouldn't hurt your overall score at all. So that's just some food for thought depending on the kind of difficulties that you're dealing with on them. Just a trick to kind of get away from those. Okay, here we go. Wave 4 out of 5. We've got 4 minutes, 30 seconds left, and now we've got enough coin to spend some money on the grinders on the wall. I like the grinders, but I find that they have a really short range, and so I don't use them that often because they're just not conducive to the kind of trap setup that I am usually kind of building. This trap setup, however, they work perfectly for. We've got everybody coming down this nice long gauntlet, and I can just line the entire wall with the grinders, doing extra physical damage while they're slowed on the tar and getting pummeled by those swinging maces. So I find this to be pretty effective when you got a lot of big dudes to contend with. Nobody's getting through here very easily.
You're not the boss anymore. The big ones die hard. They don't seem more intimidating.
Okay, we're getting ready for the final wave, but thankfully our kill box is nicely set up. They are going to have a real tough time running this gauntlet, but just to be sure, let's spend any excess gold that we have. You can't take it with you, so you might as well put as many traps up and obstacles for these green machines as you can. A few more tars to slow them down, and the grinders and the swinging mace to do all that physical damage. And maybe I'll throw a few crossbow bolts in there for a good measure, just to be sure no one thinks that they're going to get through or anything. I don't want to give them any false hope. Alright, there's an armored ogre on the board, so I'm going to run up and give him a little extra TLC. The armored ogres are very hard to take down. They take a ton of damage. They charge forward. You really need to be aware if they're on the board and take them out quickly, otherwise they can cause a lot of problems for you. Just like the Gnoll Hunters can if you don't take care of them swiftly. That guy almost killed me. He got right behind me, a couple of slashes, and that was almost it. If you get close to the rifts, and you may have seen how my character was glowing like that, the rifts have healing powers. So if you are taking arrows or taking damage, you can always retreat to the rift to heal up, but it does mean that your war mage isn't able to monitor your kill box if you've got one set up. So you have to plan accordingly. Another armored ogre, here I am just unloading headshots, and it's just taking all of them, is barely even tickled by them. But having the swinging maces and the grinder continue to wear them down makes all the difference. Same with the mountain trolls, they have a ton of stamina. Is that it? Oh, alright. Victory. Well, there you have it, folks. 5 skulls on side entrance. Man, I love this game. I play it so much because I love it so much. I highly encourage anybody who's at all interested to check it out. It's a lot of fun. Just a reminder, the way that I set up these things isn't the only way to do it. There's plenty of other really interesting ways you can set up your traps and your trinkets and your weapons, and I highly encourage you to check them all out for yourself and see what works best for you. Thanks so much for stopping by and checking out our channel. If you like the content and would like to see more from us here at Game Passionate, please don't forget to give a like or subscribe. It really helps us out. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.